Hey guys, this is Squid Bear. Welcome to another Squid Bear video. And today we're going to be talking about the morality of Star Wars. At first, in A New Hope, it showed that light and dark, rebels versus Imperials. It seemed pretty good and bad, black and white, pretty simple to follow. But as Star Wars began to evolve, it's gotten very complex, especially with the prequels. I mean, seriously, we thought the Jedi were gonna be were gonna be saviors and guardians of free will and democracy, but then when we got to the prequels, they were nothing but hypocritical political bureaucrats who were basically the Republic's bodyguards. But that's a good thing that they were the Republic's bodyguards, but they were not just the Republic, they were mostly focused on the Senate, which is very hypocritical. And the Sith were basically the same as the Sith, except it showed that they had free will, they had more of a choice than the Jedi. And also, during the Clone Wars, there was two sides, the Confederacy and the Republic. The droids were like basically droids. You don't have to have free will with droids or other people with that. I mean, droids, yeah. But the clones, they were basically a slave army. I don't even know if they had rights. They supported freedom, but they didn't get freedom themselves. That's very hypocritical in itself. A republic supporting slavery, and when they were fighting against a slavery empire, the Zygerians, that's very hypocritical because they had slaves, but they used it. They didn't see them as slaves. They saw them as soldiers. And actually, they were kind of born to be soldiers, but also they're born to force to be soldiers. So that's kind of slavery, but it's very hard. And that's what Star Wars has become, complicated, and that's good. And I kind of admired them for that. But at the same way, I'm fearing of complicated stuff. A lot of people fear complicated and the unknown. People fear what they don't understand. But that's kind of a good thing. A little bit of a bad thing that they fear, but it shows that you can work for something that you don't understand. Work to understand it. And I'm going to talk about the Jedi Order. I'm going to go back to it. Alright. But when the Jedi Order was destroyed, the Empire started up, but when that was destroyed, and Luke Skywalker was going to start his Jedi Order, I thought that this was going to be completely new. Like, the Jedi were going to fight against the First Order and start balance between the light and the dark, and use that both to bring balance, because that's basically balance. And that's why I'm a Grey Jedi. I support the Grey Jedi. I'm a Force sensitive who supports Grey Jedi. And also, they were going to swing their lightsabers against the First Order like in the prequels. But no, they had to destroy the Jedi Order again. And I think that they did support families, but I don't think that they supported the light and the dark. Because spoilers for Last Jedi, when Luke Skywalker was about to kill Kylo Ren, aka Ben Solo, he saw darkness in him that was going to destroy everyone, but he didn't learn to balance the light and the dark, and that's why when he lighted up, it was already too late, but he regretted that, and that's why I think that he was so depressed when he was on the island. He was shamed that he tried to kill Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, and also it was also because obviously that the Jedi Order was destroyed by Kylo Ren, of course. But it's just that it's understandable that Luke Skywalker doesn't want to be in this war. He doesn't want to be a legend. He just wants to be a regular person. And he doesn't want to balance the dark because he's not afraid of it. He doesn't understand the fullness of the Grey Jedi. And also, the first Jedi, in Legends, the Jedi were were balanced people, were first people that were taken by celestial like creatures to a planet called Tython, and they learned both the light and the dark balance. And that's what taught in The Last Jedi. But also they split apart from into a war in the Jedi, but then the Jedi set up themselves on Tython, and then and the dark side was no longer allowed. But some students learned the dark side, and then they were banished to Moraband or Korriban by the Legends fans. No, only Legends, and they start their own Sith. They took the name of the race of Sith, which is kind of weird. In the future, the Empire is racist against a lot of aliens, so it's kind of weird that the rulers were named themselves after aliens. I mean, after a different race. It's kind of weird, yeah. And it shows that, and it's kind of like in The Last Jedi, they started their, the Luke Skywalker started his own Jedi Order, and then and then his apprentice Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, he sought after the dark, but Luke Skywalker tried to kill off the dark because he didn't want to balance it. But also the Jedi of the Order back then cared about families, and they weren't as strict as the new Jedi, and Kylo Ren brought down that Jedi Order. Unlike the old Jedi, they banished the students, and also Kylo Ren took his students, the Knights of Ren, which were never mentioned in The Last Jedi, to Snoke, and that's the Sith. It's kind of like Legends, except differences. And also, they even had the first Jedi Temple. That's like the. So, Tython was probably the first place or the Jedi probably trained, but then they took their first Jedi temple that was in the galaxy was probably on Ahch-To. That's my headcanon. And also, it just shows that how The Last Jedi is still paying homage to Legends. And it's pretty great. I mean, balance is the Empire is both dark side and not. It's its own thing. It uses the dark side, but it's its own thing. If you could use the dark side and use it for good, and the light side, and still keep your moral compass, then you could be fully balanced. That's why I've learned balance. Revan has shown me balance, and I hope that you learn balance too. Alright, hope you guys liked this video. Leave a comment below if you did. And remember, may the Force and the Squid be with y'all. And balance to all. Learn balance. Peace out, guys. And Happy New Year.